Welcome to Weirdo Universe. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Hope you enjoy. Let's get to it. I'm Amon.
And I'm AJ.
This is Weirdo Universe. So thank you for tuning in. We have a new schedule. We're doing one weekday as of today of Wednesday at 7:30, 10:30 Eastern, and Saturdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, 6 in the Central Time. But today, so hopefully you guys liked our last week episode. Try to break down a transformer the best we can. You know, it's a very broad subject. It can go on for months, years, just to talk about it entirely. But hopefully, for people that watch those videos, hopefully you kind of have a good feel of what it's about and characters and plot. But today though, as we're calling this Review Wednesday, pretty much if you saw in our, as AJ uploaded ours about what it is, pretty much is reviewing bad, good, terrible movies and just giving our takes of just how the characters, how they kind of like the plot, no matter it's action and humor. But today's movie, we're talking about a movie I don't know if people have heard about, and that's called The Old Guard. And if people don't really know, because if you actually search the Old Guard, it's actually a bit of a historical unit in the war in the world, but mainly in the United States, and pretty much it's a historical, fierce, and elite Napoleonic, if you think like Napoleon, French military unit. And during their time, with Napoleon, they were fierce armies. But I'm not sure if people use this today, but it's now known for like ceremony unit. They're known to like escort the president if the president passed away. So it's like they take the coffin and escort it to its resting place. That's a little insight on what the Old Guard is. But in this movie, it's not like that at all. It's a bit of a funny. It's a not gonna lie. The action is great. It's when it comes to the writing, we'll have to say, where it gets a little cheesy, weird. So pretty much to sum it up, and think of your imaginations. Going based on our quote of our stream part of it. Um, think of like think of like think of like what's a way to describe this? But think of like soldiers, but you have a infinite lifespan. You do die, but there's something within your DNA that actually you resurrect. But as it goes on, as like kind of you're getting older, the 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 certain DNA in your body kind of, I guess, in a way deteriorates. So there's this one person named Andy, and what's interesting about her is when we watch the movie, they lightly touch of who she is and how long she lived. Because there's a certain scene in the movie where all these characters, Andy, Niall, Booker, Joe, Nikki, and Merrick, they all tell of like how long they've been around for in the world. One is actually an actual soldier of Napoleon. Another one is, well, two actually are from like the Renaissance during like the Crusades. And I don't know, AJ. There's one more character, right? We know one of Napoleon.
I believe so. There's definitely Andy, Niall, Nikki, Joe, and Sebastian, I believe, is
Sebastian.
the other one. And then you have I think I want to say, sorry, I'm looking at the cast, so forgive me.
I have to write it down here. I got Merrick, Luca, Joe, Booker, Kyle, Copley.
you it's I think Qin. I think it's Qin or maybe Quinn. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, but it's spelled Quynh. So I'm unsure how.
So 4 of the 5 characters, if one is a person with we don't know. They, as they say, they do lightly touch it on how long she actually has been around. But then others are from
They do that very, very lightly. I mean, they don't exactly give a specific length, but you kind of get a gist.
One's like, as I said, Napoleon soldier. 2 others are actually gay couples. And what's interesting about them, but I thought they were like crusaders. So like I don't know, like what about these 2 characters? I think it was it Merrick and was it Booker and Merrick?
Which one are you trying to get at?
The 2 crusaders, those 2 lovers.
I think that might be Nikki and Joe.
Okay, I
believe it's Nikki and Joe.
Nikki and Joe. Okay, we'll go with that.
Sorry, the cast photos it's a little weird for me because I'm kind of used to seeing them in the movie and they have a certain like
appearance
design to the character.
Yeah. So like we'll say Nikki and Joe, they were actually from the Crusades, but they have the fighting skills of knights. But I just like the most curious parts, like were they around during that time? They weren't actually soldiers, but let's just say if they died by a crusader, like they could have been crusader soldiers, and they found out they were in love, and in that time, you pretty much you're dead. Crusaders go really strict on that sort of thing. I'm not sure that's entirely sure, but if you know its history, it gets they're really strict. So we don't know if they died, and then we don't know their story, but it's just like they tell us like, oh, we're from like the Renaissance, one's from the Napoleon era, and then there's one more character, and then the new character, this woman, which now we're gonna backtrack a little bit. So, actually, AJ, you take it away. Of just kind of a good summary of certain scenes.
You're talking about Kiki's character, right, Niall?
Yeah, but like just go from like maybe at the top, at least near the beginning of just like a good summary.
Well, okay, so as you also said, backtracking. The movie also does this as well, pretty decently, if I may add. Kiki Lane plays a character named Niall Freeman, and she is this newfound, I guess you could say, person that has a sense of immortality, right? Now, for a lot of people, they get immortality confused with basically being able to not die at all. That's, however, wrong, because immortality just means you have a longer lifespan, and at times it's also coexistent with regeneration, which is how they also regenerate and come back to life after they die. So Niall Freeman is, like what we mentioned, like what Amon mentioned before, is a actual soldier. she ended up finding out her ability due to I believe was a patrol for any weapons associated with any terrorist groups. I believe. Don't quote me on that. Just especially because of where they're at in the movie at this time. Um, but she finds out that she basically has this ability a little after that, due to the fact that the spoilers for in case if anybody hasn't watched this yet or whatnot, um, due to the fact that she got stabbed in the neck, and I mean in the neck. Um, However, as the movie passes to the next scene, we get to see her walking about, all healed, no scar. Um, and then she meets Andy, who is played by Charlize Theron. Forgive me if I'm butchering the name. Um, Now, Andy is the oldest out of the group that we know of. One that has been studied by another character later on in the movie that we find out, um, that is named James Capley or Copley. I'm not gonna attempt to actually say the actor's name because I'm afraid I'd absolutely butcher it. Um, but so Andy basically finds this person because all the people in the group are connected in a sense. They basically can see visions of the others, which is how they had found each other to an extent. Um, Niall still having a really hard time believing that she is immortal. Um, Ends up finding out about the others. They end up meeting with the others, and that's where they all kind of talk a little bit about their history and where they're from. Um, except for one, and that would be Andy. And again, I think it's because she has just so much history there that it going through all that time and seeing people that she cared about come and go, it would be hard for anybody, especially people who have been around as long as Andy has. So Niall ends up deciding to basically kind of go with it and just, in a sense, I guess you could say, believe for the time being that she and these people are truly, in a sense, immortal. Um, this is also where things start to go a little crazier, which we'll get into in a minute. But I think that kind of like sums up basically the first bit of the film, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
I'll pass it back to Amon.
But yeah, so like as AJ well described of what Olgar pretty much sums it up, but you have to see for yourself to kind of get the whole picture. But
Yeah, you guys
as,
gotta absolutely watch the movie at some point when you can.
like it's good. It's good, but it's like good bad. You'll understand why because the writing seems a little iffy. I'll say.
Yeah, it's kind of like a what's the term? Kind of like a tolerable movie to watch in a way. I mean, it's good. It's just like Amon said. There's some bits of it that kind of is just like, I'm not sure. I don't know, but I mean, it does make up for it for like the comedy and a little bit, and definitely the action. So,
Like
um,
while you were talking, I was trying to figure out what's a way to describe Andy. Let's just say, have you ever thought? Have everyone thought if you want to be a fighter, to learn every single, like if you want to learn every certain fighting style, you have to research it and all that. But imagine kind of pretty much being born around the time you went through all of history and you knew every single fighting moves, and like from Asia, Africa, like all those like tribes, soldiers, tribes, armies, etc. And you go to now modern. So just imagine if you had all the abilities of every fighting style. You're pretty much like a Mortal Kombat character.
In a way, if you want to kind of get into a little comedic route with this, it's kind of like Batman meets John Wick. In a sense. I mean, it's kind of funny because I mean, when you watch the movie, you do kind of get the like joking sense of like, oh yeah, this is very Batman like in some way, and then other parts are just like, this is straight up John Wick here, isn't it? Like, I do believe that they might have took reference from John Wick. I don't know exactly what came first. I mean, that is definitely right now for us kind of like the chicken or the egg question. So who knows? But we'll do some more research in that another time and kind of get back to it. But yeah, continue. I didn't mean to completely interrupt.
There's a quick summary up of the first one. Now in case you didn't know, it was funny about the old guard. It's kind of one of those movies where it's just like we'll just leave in the back, and it's just like, all right, if it feels around time, we'll just make another one. So that's pretty much what happened. As of this year, earlier this year, they made another one, Old Guard 2. Just add the number 2, just to let people know it's the second installment. So
yeah, I'm still kind of surprised that they made a second film, to be honest. I mean, when I heard about that, I just kind of stared at my screen a bit because I was just like, why exactly? I mean, the first one was okay and everything. I just don't think it necessarily required a sequel entirely.
So then we get to the second one. New characters, new sort of villain, or maybe low-key type character, we'll just say. But so fast forward in time. So the new character that joined the Immortals, not saying that's not the movie. So I just feel like that was only one way to really say it.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a show called Immortals.
Yeah,
but not. There's only one. It was only the one where that came in my mind. But continuing on. So time lapse goes, and now they're kind of like mercenaries, but for good. They're doing, taking down criminals, kind of like Batman, pretty much taking down criminals, drug lords, the whole 1, 2, 3. And it's a great action scene, boat crashes, car chases, ankles being snapped, but they can regenerate, so no problem there. But this is where it gets a little deep. They go a little deeper in the plot. The writers kind of go for a little deep down the rabbit hole story.
They also
in the first film
they also do a big twist near the end of the film too. That in the second film, I'm not going to say anything right now just because I don't want to jump ahead immediately too fast. But it was definitely kind of a mind blowing scene. So I will say that.
They dealt with some bad people, get them out of the way, cool martial arts moves, the whole, But then as I was saying, going deeper in the writers kind of went a little deep here, and we get a little backstory. So not only Andy was the only longest character, she had someone she really loved, and since they've been through a lot of history, they went through in the times, we'll just say, during the witch trials. During that time period, getting engulfed in flame, but since they were pretty much their immortality was pretty high up, so they pretty much recovered really quick. Until it got to the point we get to I don't know, like 1500s, 1800s, not exactly, but we get to like the Renaissance, we'll say. And so torture was quite of a big thing. And so as AJ, you may help me clarify. This could even be during the witch trials, but let's not go past that. But it gets
I'm unsure when exactly that happens. If I'm assuming where you're going with it, I'm assuming it might be during that time. I'm unsure, but no, continue your thought.
so they're interesting. So it's like torture's a thing, and so fortunately, out of Andy and this mysterious character that she loved, it is a female character. She is the one that gets taken, and Andy crying to take me, don't take her. She gets thrown in the thing. Well, she gets thrown in a coffin, but the specifics.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like a sarcophagus. Sarcophagus. Jeez, I can't speak today.
That specific tomb thing actually has a meaning. But I forgot what it is, but pretty much what it was meant to do for people that believe people are demonic. They believe if you throw them down into ocean, they will drown. It will actually take the evil spirits out.
Yeah, that was, if I may add, probably a fate worse than death, actually. Just because, I mean, if you watch the movies and then you get the description, it's almost hard to hear just because I'm not meaning like the apologies. I'm not meaning like the quality. I just mean like because in the first film they do a little flashback of this. Um, I kind of forget if they do it in the second film when the character actually talks about it a little bit. But you do kind of hear her scream through the like coffin thing that she got shoved into basically. Um just before and a little after she gets thrown off into the water. So it's very like hard to listen to a little bit just because it's even though you know that they can't really die, but that is like that's to me that's a fate worse than death because I mean she's dying and coming back to life repeatedly again and again. So I mean that's like the hardest way of torturing somebody possible with this ability.
Here to describe what the scene was. So when the person was taking it, people were cheering. And as people were cheering, even though I can't find a female voice, but if you get the idea. She was screaming, and they load her on the ship. And they threw her. And even though it was underwater, what you say, as she makes impact. But that's pretty much a way to describe the scene based on something.
Yeah.
As we go on, this is where we're gonna one of our topics is about like OC characters, and in this scene, I had an OC vibe. So, new character, and as new, I just kind of discovered this. The OC character has a way. She has a way of like future or past things that occurred. No one else has this. They just know about immortality. They take a few gunshots, explosions, and they're fine. But for her, she can actually like get a little future and past events in the film. So there's one scene in particular where she's like in sort of library. There's one person and then this older woman, and the older woman kills the guy. But later on, which you'll find out, they're the same. They have the same ability, but there's a big reveal of why she has that sort of sense, which we won't explain it entirely, but she's kind of, we'll just say she's like a virus. She's like a little virus that grows over time and infects, but she doesn't know that. She's just trying to be the hero as all the others were. And so fast forward a little bit, and AJ you can take it from here, and we can like pretty much try to, our best of our ability, to kind of tell you like of these other mysterious characters and what's the kind of fascinating part about
I'm assuming you're meaning the woman that Andy fights in the second film, right?
them. Yeah, is that yeah.
Okay, that would be, I believe, Uma Thurman's character, Discord. I believe. This is actually interesting just because of the fact that we find out that in this twist, like how Aman was saying that she's like a virus in a way, is that she can also take, well, not take, more like remove one's immortality
So that's what I was thinking.
and regeneration.
That's what I was saying. Like this could be like an OC character you guys make and build this character.
I do feel like this was the reason why the second film was made, because they were just like, let's see what would be better than them just fighting normal people.
Or maybe they just thought like, all right, we just threw in this new character, so we kind of have to like grow her a bit.
Well, see, I think that's another reason, was because this new character has an ability, not just like clairvoyance in a sense, which grants her like the visions and whatnot, but the ability to basically remove other people's immortality and also give them back. I think I had to rewatch the film just because my mind's a little foggy on it a little bit, but it's so interesting because of the fact that you get this character and you get them to basically have a good like fight scene with Andy, and they are like switching back and forth between like who has the immortality and who doesn't. And it even has, if I'm not mistaken, they have it where it shows up as like this marking on their arm, I believe, or something.
Yeah.
Which is odd, but I mean, in apologies, but in a way, I think it's kind of interesting for the sequel film, because you get this character that, like Amon said, is trying to be a hero like the others, but in a sense is kind of like, how can I say this? Doing the right things for the wrong reasons.
Loki.
Yeah, pretty much.
Loki.
I think she even tricks Andy's lover though, right? If I'm not mistaken, like she kind of manipulates her.
In a way, I feel like Star Wars is kind of works for this in a way. Think of Palpatine trying to convince Well,
Yeah.
using Dooku as his like little like his first pawn, but Anakin is
Yeah.
the actual king. That's his actual plan.
Yeah, I do
Well,
feel like that's kind of where they're going with. The sequel definitely ended off with them possibly planning to do a third film. I still kind of don't know why, but I mean, with
it's
the way that it ended off, I think it might be needed just to kind of for closure purposes, at least, you know? Um sorry, I'm still kind of getting over a cold and whatnot, but um I think in a sense I'm on here is kind of onto something with the third film if that's what they're planning to do. Is that Andy's lover was uh in a sense Count Dooku. She's the first pawn in something greater, and I think Andy is the key to that because she played a very from what I remember in the second film, Andy played a very big role in the movie. And I mean it basically it's ironic because in the first film it basically in a sense like starts with her. And so the sequel kind of ending off with like Andy there is I find it interesting because it's kind of like circling back around in a sense to Andy, and I think she is in a sense the key to all of it, like the way Anakin was for Palpatine.
yeah, pretty much. And there's a big story about actually her that was very interesting. That knowing she lived so long, that she's actually not what we thought. And well, just she is who she is, but it's just you'll see when you watch it.
Yeah,
And yeah, it like they were not gonna lie. I want to say it was like this, but it was kind of like that as a build up. You know, as a, it was just like it was like a build up to a potential thing that might not happen. But you know, it's like this movie. It's like actually well enough. It could just do a third one just to get it over with.
yeah, I do think the third, if they do plan on doing a third one, which I'm sure they probably are, I think that would be the best way to kind of close the story in a sense. Um, just because I mean the way that like the sequel played through seemed like that was like in a sense like the middle of the story. Like you get the first one is the beginning, then you get the second one the middle, and then the third is like the end. So I mean I definitely do kind of see a like a Star Wars reference here and them kind of going for a like you get the Phantom Menace and then Attack of the Clones and then Revenge of the Sith. And I think in a sense this is kind of what they're planning to do with that is that for the potential Old Guard 3 is going to be like their Revenge of the Sith. So my predictions is that maybe Andy might have to choose and I mean make a choice between maybe trying to save or like bring back her lover um or save somebody else.
Or I feel like I feel like what might happen is like two things. One, I think the lover character is actually going to die officially.
Yeah.
Two, the main character dies by this time being mortal. You know, she just lost it. I think she'll make the
I
choice.
will say this. I gotta agree with you on that. I do think that either I want to say her name is Quinn, just because of how it kind of looks. Um, again, I'm not going to officially say her name too much because I don't want to butcher it. That's why I'm also labeling her as Andy's lover, just so it makes it a little easier. But I do feel like either she's going to die or Andy is. Um, I have two ways for Andy's lover to possibly kick it. That could either be well, three ways actually. Through Discord, through Andy due to a fight between them, or her deciding to try and be a hero like they were the before, and she saves Andy's life. And that could also go vice versa. It could also happen for Andy too, like Amon said. I mean, the main character.
All I know that will probably happen. Niall is going to be the next team leader. That's. I think that's a fact.
The next key?
No, the next team leader.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, she is pretty still.
The film, you kind of have an understanding.
She's still pretty like recent in the team, so I mean, her having the ability, she'll probably outlast them. But I think she might bring in some. I mean, she might be able to find some more people like them to help. But I mean, who knows?
I have a thought about this immortality. You think because she was the youngest, she lasted? That's why she lasted longer. Because if each one was just whatever their age were, they died in that timeline. Of course, they resurrect. We don't know. That's the other thing that maybe they hope they reveal, like how this specific character named Discord. There's another big puzzle piece that they tell about that who she is, and it's very interesting. I wonder maybe do a little backstory on her. They just kind of threw her in there, so
I hope they do, because they didn't exactly like give her any like backstory details.
There's like one little piece. There's like a few pieces, but like if the way they described her is who she really is, then maybe this might explain a certain big spoiler, which we'll not say, or big reveal. No spoiler reveal, however you take it. But
one of the two, yeah.
One of the two, but watch it. It's there's there's laughter. There's punches. There's gunshots. People getting tossed. And all in between. I feel like I think you guys will enjoy. Hopefully, let us know in the comments and and if you're watching this later on, if you're curious. But yeah, without further ado, I say thanks for tuning in. Another late edition episode of Weirdo Universe. Just let you know, this is on your schedule. Wednesdays, 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. And Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific, and 8.
Yeah. Saturday. We gotta make sure that we do some research because of we were planning to talk about a lot of the like cultural stuff regarding the movie that we're gonna do.
Yeah, so we'll let you know what that we'll let you know what that movie will be. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll see you Saturday. Appreciate it, Jack. Your support means everything. Hopefully you can share about it.
I also want to say I can't wait to talk to you, Jack, on whenever we do like guest streams. That would be I can't wait to do that. Drew, I would hope we could get you involved too for that as well. I hope.
But yeah, we'll hopefully pretty soon we'll do that. Get everyone who wants to chime in. We want to hear your knowledge too, and maybe review of the old Dark Plains after this. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah.